Let me take you a walk through student loan so you can see the fraud in the student loan. And you see that there's really no reason to celebrate yet. When we raise this issue, many people are quick to complain and say, give Tinubu time, give Tinubu time. We are not the ones that started this whole discussion about, oh, Tinubu is doing so fantastic. In just 3 weeks, in just 1 month, he has done so well. We were not the ones that started it. It was you people that started it. Claim that Tinubu is doing so well within such a short time. And then we now come out to shine light on the things that you say Tinubu did. And then you are saying we should give him time. So you didn't know that he needed time before you came out to be bamboozling Nigerians, to say that Nigerians are singing Kumbaya, that Tinubu is winning over the hearts and minds of Nigerians? You didn't think that he needed time before you come to tell us that he's doing so well with the policies that he has put in place, policies that have put Nigerians into untold sufferings? You didn't know that we needed time? But we will talk about them. We will expose them because we will overcome all of this repressiveness. It is our hope that things will change in a very short while. The right people will reclaim their mandate and Nigeria will move forward. But until that time, let us tell you this. The so-called student loan, Nigeria, is not for you. It's not for you at all. I will explain. Let me just walk you through this small presentation, and I will prove to you that the student loan is not for the poor Nigerians as they claim it is for. It is not for them. It is for rich Nigerians that are close friends of Tinubu. Let us take this small presentation. Student loan. Now, the student loan is an act to provide easy access to higher education for Nigerians through interest-free loans from Nigerian Education Bank, established in this act with a view to provide education for all Nigerians and for related matters. That's the purpose of the bill. The bill is supposed to help Nigerians access education, right? Provide education for all Nigerians. Meanwhile, there are conditions. Now, the second part you need to note is this. In subsection 3, it says that the loan referred to in this act shall be granted to students only for the payment of tuition fees. Did you catch that? The loan is only for the payment of tuition fees. Let's continue. Paragraph subsection 5 says, there is hereby established a bank to be known as the Nigerian Education Bank, which shall have functions and powers conferred on it by this act. So they will create a Nigerian Education Bank, a new bank that we have board of directors, and the chairman and members of the board shall be appointed by the president, subject to the confirmation of the National Assembly, and shall be persons of proven integrity. Now see this. What do you see? A private bank that is owned, whose board are going to be people that are chosen by the president. Why not set up that bank and let the board be made up of stakeholders in the education sectors? Stakeholders, and let the stakeholders choose from amongst themselves who their chairman will be. Why is it that it is the president that has to appoint? I will explain to you why it is so very shortly, so you will understand why this is actually fraud waiting to happen. We're still talking about the Student Loan Act and how it is not for the Nigerian people. They say it is to help the poor to get education, to access education easily. But from what we will see from the provisions of the act itself, you'll see that the student loan bill is not for the poor Nigerian. It is not. Let's read on. Now, here that the education bank will be able to, in addition to getting money from sources we will soon release or show, they are able to engage in other banking businesses. That is a door, a back door to corruption and fraud waiting to happen. If the education bank can have access to do other banking activities, why set up the education bank? Why not use normal bank and not waste Nigeria's taxpayers' money on the board of directors and staff that will be chosen by the president, which is actually a doorway for corruption? Why do that if you can just use existing banks? You will see. You will see very soon. Now, it says this is how the education bank will get its money. It's going to be 1% of all taxes, levies, and duties accruing to the government of the Federation from FIRS, Nigerian Immigration Services, and the Nigerian Customs Services. So the tax that and levies and duties that accrue to them, 1% of it will be taken in the name of giving loans to poor Nigerians in order to help them afford university education. But we will soon see that this 1% of monies will be collected and the average poor Nigerians out there will not be able to access it. And that leaves the people who are the board of directors, who are members of the board, and the president to do as they like with the funds. This is exactly what is happening with TED funds. This is exactly what is happening with ITF. This is exactly what is happening with education tax. We have those 3 taxes already, but the monies from these taxes, we don't know where the money goes. Yet, we are establishing another bank that will increase the taxes on Nigerians, because that's 1% of the monies accruing from levies, from FIRS, from Immigration Service, and from Customs. And then if you look at E there, it says 1% of all profits accruing to the government of the Federation arising from oil and other minerals. So monies, levies, taxes that are paid by oil companies or mineral extraction and processing companies, those 1% of tax also goes to this bank. Now, if all of these monies are not accessible to the average Nigerian out there, who then uses the money? That's the big question. That's the big question. Because if you look at subsection 18 in the conditions that the average Nigerians must meet, you'll see that 18.2 states that applicants' income or family income must be less than 500,000 naira per annum. Applicants' income or family income must be less than 500,000 naira per annum. Now, look at this. Applicants' income means that 500,000 naira per annum divided into 12 will give you 41,000 naira thereabout. 41,000 naira. That's applicant income. Or if the applicant has a father and a mother, and the father and the mother earns 30,000 each, combined, that becomes 60,000 each. That's minimum wage now. In a year, that is 720,000 naira. That means that a family that has father and mother working and earning minimum wage cannot access the student loan. Can you see the magic? A family that has father and mother earning minimum wage each, 30,000 each. You put the 30,000 together, it becomes 60,000 per month. Multiply that by 12, it becomes 720,000 naira. According to Section 18 now of the Student Loan Act, this family or father and mother cannot access the student loan for their child or children. If a family that is earning minimum wage, 30,000 naira, cannot access the loan, who is the loan now for? Meanwhile, let's not forget that the loan, let's go back to the beginning. The loan is for students. Okay, fine. The loan referred to in this act shall be granted to students only for the payment of tuition fees. Now, for a family to access this loan, their family income has to be less than 500,000 naira per annum. Meaning that if you have a family that has above 500,000 naira per annum, they cannot access the loan. So for families that can access it, there are families that are the multidimensionally poor, the extremely poor, rest of the poor, that cannot afford 500,000 naira a year. And that means that those are really poor families. But see the problem with these people that can access the loan. The loan is only for school fees. The loan is only for school fees, for tuition fees. Now, this poorest of the poor people cannot provide the other monies for accommodation, for feeding, for transportation. They cannot. They cannot even afford to send their children to universities. So it means that even these people too, that have income less than 500,000, can also not access the loan. So who is the loan for? Of course, you saw, like we were shown here just now, you saw that the board is free to engage and participate in other banking businesses. So what will happen is this money will just be there, and they will be using this money to trade, using this money to make money, and probably sharing this money amongst themselves. Meanwhile, the people suffer. So when people clap for the student loan bill, I am amazed. Because if they really understood, they will see that the student loan is not for the Nigerian people. The poorest of the poor that they say it is supposed to help cannot afford the other monies that are required for higher education. They don't even bother to send their children to private primary secondary school, not to talk of sending their children to university. If you pay the school fees for them alone, the other monies they need to continue university education, they don't have. So obviously, they will not go to university or withdraw from university. So which means that they are disenfranchised. They don't have access to the loan. And then those who manage to at least be earning 30,000 minimum wage, they cannot access it, because by earning 30,000 minimum wage for father and mother, they have exceeded 500,000 naira per annum. And somebody is shouting that student loan is one of the things that Tinubu has done. Student loan is not for you. Even if you have the poorest of the poor that manages to secure the loan and probably goes to do something else, get loan from somewhere else to fund himself through school, there's no guarantee of jobs. And then, of course, after 2 years, they begin to look for you and locate you to come and pay up. Failure to pay up, they send you to jail, or you pay a fine of 500,000. You see, this student loan bill, as it is now, it's not for the poor Nigerians. It is not. It is just another means to take Nigeria's money and make it available to the rich friends of the president to play with as they wish, while the majority and the poorest of the poor Nigerians continue to suffer. So, can any good thing come from Tinubu? This is another reason for me to tell you no. Capital no. Capital no. This, it is clear that if it is a student loan bill that somebody is trying to capitalize on to say Tinubu is working, from what we just read, from the details, the fine details of the Student Loan Act, then you know that it is not for the Nigerian. It is to help the rich friends of those in power. It is fraud waiting to happen. So rather than clapping, Nigerians should actually be angry. These monies could have been used to start the free food law, the social welfare law. That's what should be done. That's what we need to do.